Welcome to Overwatch. This time we'll be going over the March 17th patch or version 27939. Some interesting changes in here, but nothing groundbreaking in terms of what it's going to do to the game overall. If you want to see the patch notes, there'll be a link in the description, and in the background you can have some Zarya gameplay on the current patch. I'll actually start off differently to how I've started off the other episodes, purely because the largest change is not necessarily to the heroes, it's to our nigh universal system. Quick Melee saw a nerf in getting damage reduced from 50 to 30, but now has a 1 second cooldown afterwards rather than 1.5, so basically you hit more but you hit weaker. This shifts power around a little bit, particularly for someone like Tracer who likes to use melee to confirm a kill and is frequently killed by a melee hit. Ultimately, you're still going to want to use it. 30 fairly reliable damage isn't bad after all, but honestly it's a surprising change. I just guess Blizzard had more data and were seeing that people were getting melee kills more than they expected. Might be in response to the current Genji animation cancel of using his right click followed by a melee at the same time for a high damage burst, as well as being highly used elsewhere, but still, kind of an interesting change. While we're on the subject, let's move on to everyone's favourite ninja, Genji. Seeing changes defensively and offensively, his hit points have been raised back to 200 health, but he's seen a 20% damage decrease on his shuriken. A little less burst and a little more durability. This change likely comes off the back of the discovery that, well, at the highest levels where Genji is dominant, Genji isn't necessarily the key problem. Like I said last week, changing his health pool won't dramatically shift his survivability unless done to an extreme. As it is now, he's a little more forgiving, but has to fight a little longer. Emphasis on a little bit. He hasn't had a major shift to his time to kill. A good Genji will still win a lot of 1 vs 1s. This change is likely a reversal of the experiment we saw. The developers wanted to see if Genji was causing issues at the highest levels and, well, found the truth. It's become pretty much unanimously accepted amongst the pro scene that the real issue with Genji lay with Zenyatta and SYMMETRA. So expect to see some pretty dramatic Zenyatta changes either in the next patch or the one after. In terms of pub play, well, Genji's a little more forgiving and a little less lethal. Might be a bit less pub stompy, but we'll see. Mei saw further changes with a shift to her power. Her primary fire now freezes 15% faster and her secondary fire is a little bit worse off, losing 15% fire rate and gaining a damage drop off over long distance. A fine change, Mei was becoming a spam character, essentially serving a purpose by firing down a corridor and hoping for headshots. She can still do that, but not quite at the same lethality at the same range. She's also a little bit less able to machine gun icicles. That said, she's still a close range monster. She's slowly getting to a point where she feels decent. With Mei, it's a little bit tricky to tell. Her kill speed is incredibly slow, but her disruptive power is outstanding. I certainly prefer her using her left click more than spamming too much with the right, however. Next up, a Zenyatta change, or rather a change to a number of other characters. Orb of Discord can now be purged by using moves that make you immune. This is notably Mei's Ice Block, Zenyatta's Transcendence, and Zarya's Barrier. Allow me to reconstruct my reaction upon hearing that Zarya can now purge Orb of Discord. Yes, Zarya saw some changes, notably with her minimum damage raised by 25%, increasing the lower boundary of her weakest point. You're still going to struggle, but it's certainly a lot nicer than it was. At some point during the footage in the background, I think I fight a Soldier 76 at near 0 charge while he's on his biotic field and, well, basically do nothing. If it's already happened in the video, I'll replay the epic duel for you, but it's not a major or huge change. It should help Zarya feel not totally useless at low charge, maybe? Next up, SYMMETRA. Recent changes had her ultimate charging at a really fast rate. How fast? Too fast, apparently. For now, it requires 30% more time to charge. I kinda like the change. It was kinda crazy beforehand how it gave her very little downtime. SYMMETRA is in a bit of an odd place. Her impact on the team is massive, but subtle, and giving her a weakness feels fine to me. You're still going to get the teleporter up now, and it helps avoid SYMMETRA becoming suicidal and basically taking bad trades just to get enough ultimate to get her teleporter up quickly, taking bad engages just to deal enough damage so she can get her TP up once more. Now it might help her be a little more conservative. I'm quietly suspecting we might see SYMMETRA changes down the line. She's a big influence on why the so-called God comp works by impacting weaker hero hit points for virtually no cost. Or rather, the buff she gives to others is meant to be offset by her own weakness. Think of SYMMETRA right now as running a team of 5.5 people, except the main 5 are basically on par with the 6 of the other team, and yeah, not the best way of describing it perhaps, but hopefully you get the idea. It makes your 5 better than their 6. Right now that doesn't quite seem to be happening, with your 5 being way better than their 6, and therefore SYMMETRA becomes vital. Especially with the change to healing shields, it basically made SYMMETRA crazy strong. Let's round out now with some quick minor changes. JUNKRAT saw a nerf to the Riptide, reducing the health on it by 50, so now at 100 health it should be a bit easier to pop. Not a major deal if you ask me. Riptide is relatively minor in terms of JUNKRAT's kit, and it'll probably die to the same reasons now as it did before. You were being too greedy with it, or you took a wrong turn. WINSTON saw a tweak to his jump pack, going from 8 seconds to a 6 second cooldown. A little more jump happy, able to get in and out faster, might be a better place for WINSTON. I think I could happily live in a world with a more aggressively mobile WINSTON that isn't quite as durable as he used to be, but can get in and out faster. That said, it might be stepping a little bit too much on D.Va's toes. We'll see. HANZO got a tweak in that Scatter Arrow can no longer headshot, hopefully eliminating some of those frustrating deaths that come out of nowhere. I think HANZO is destined to be frustrating to play against. He'll always have that element of wondering, was that luck? And depending on your level of cynicism, you'll probably answer, yeah. Bastion with another minor tweak, ultimate reduced from 10 seconds to 8 seconds in duration. A fair change. Bastion ultimate is one of those things you kind of forget about until you hear him tootling in the distance, and then you bend over, put your head between your legs and kiss your ass goodbye. A little less duration on it feels kind of fair enough. A relatively simple patch with a few minor changes, nothing ground shaking or meta adjusting in here really. Overall I don't really object to any other changes. The melee change is a bit odd and I'm not really that opposed to it. I see this patch as a stepping stone. Brace yourselves, ladies and gents, because the Zenyatta patch is probably going to hit either next week or the week after, and that one I'm expecting some pretty big changes on. Thanks for watching to the end. I've been Josh, as one voice amongst many, and this has been the patch notes for the March 17th patch. I look forward to seeing what comes in the next few weeks. I'll probably also do a video explaining the double Zenyatta meta in detail at some point soon. Toodles.
My will is unbroken. Огонь по готовности. Overtime.
Get on the objective.
Barriers on you. Go. Give me your best shot. Give me another shot. I want to hug you like big, fuzzy Siberian bear.
Oh, let's break it! Damn!
Barrier
No one
Everyone, on the objective. Go. Second round. 1. Victory. Play of the game. Огонь по готовности!